1995, New Haven hosted the very first International Festival of Arts and Ideas. With live performances, art installations, plays, and more, the festival has anchored the Elm City as the cultural capital of Connecticut. This year, there will be a circus, live jazz concert, keynote speaker, and an event celebrating the historic legacy of the French chef, author, and television host, local legend Jacques Pepin. It's a festival not to be missed, running from June 14th to the 29th, with events kicking off as early as May 3rd. Join us as we talk the arts and ideas that make it happen on the Municipal Voice. The Municipal Voice is the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities podcast in collaboration with WNHH LP 103.5 FM. I'm your host, Matt Ford. As always, be sure to give us a like and let us know what you're thinking in the comments. CCM's Municipal Voice podcast continues to present a key forum on important state-local issues. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the consensus views of CCM or member municipal leaders. Rev Kev, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Good to have you. So the Arts and Ideas Festival is hitting a milestone this year. It's having its 30th anniversary. Could you talk to us a little bit about how the festival got started? You know, what was the lineup like back then? Who participated?
Well, I don't really know the lineup back then. I like to say I wasn't born 30 years ago, which is not true, but I like to say it. But from what I understand, the festival was started with the vision of three ladies. Actually, I think it was one lady, Louise Endo, who went to three of her friends, Ann Calabrese, Jean Handel, and Roz Meyer, and talked about building this festival based on the success of sponsoring the Special Olympics.
Okay. That's interesting.
So after that Special Olympics, the team that got together thought, why don't we keep doing something? And so the three ladies kind of took the charge, Jean as the leader and Roz and Ann as kind of the I don't want to call them soldiers, but the movers. They were the ones that went out and shipped things up and made things happen. And Jean as the visionary leader.
That's cool.
Was the one that kind of pulled it all together. And so they came up with the idea of doing this festival and presenting top quality culture and arts and having really deep and thoughtful conversations as an annual festival here in New Haven. New Haven is kind of an international city. And so why not? Why not us?
Yeah, that's interesting because hearing that it came in part from the Special Olympics and like that idea of having events in New Haven and community events that draw people in and are fun for everybody, that it came from that more than from necessarily seeing someone else doing an arts and ideas festival that they liked. They took the idea of something for the community and came up with what do we need, what would be great arts. You know,
and they also pulled the idea from Spoleto and some of the larger international festivals that are happening around the world in Europe. And so this
the success elsewhere, like bringing it to Connecticut sort of thing.
And making this more of a lesser for Spoleto and some of the larger festivals.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're not quite there yet with New Haven, but you know, there's some places like I think of Austin and South by Southwest. They're almost synonymous at this point, but not necessarily 30 years ago when Arts and Ideas was starting, and that was a lot smaller thing too. So how has it changed, at least in what you've seen over the years? Has it gotten bigger? Has the scope kind of changed?
I don't think the scope has changed. Well, one thing that's definitely changed is the budget. I think the first few years and early in the life of the festival, we would get a tremendous amount of support from the state. I think at one point it was almost $2 million. Of support we would get from the state, and that's been cut way down to where each year we're now fighting to keep our budget a line item, and so far we've been successful, but it's been lower. It's been getting smaller and smaller. So the amount of money, but also the access to world-class talent from all over the world. I remember the first time, one of my early uh, concerts I went to as a part of the festival,
Hmm.
and I was so excited to hear this band from Ghana,
Hmm.
and I couldn't wait because I'd never really heard Ghanaian music.
Yeah.
And so I go to the concert, and I'm sitting in the audience on the green, and I look up and I see these guys playing, and I'm like, they live in Newhallville. They're not from Ghana, but they are from Ghana. They just
Yeah.
happen to be here in these days.
They live
And
in
so,
Newhallville.
and they
Yeah.
live in Newhallville, and their music was authentic. They were
Yeah.
musicians in Ghana.
Yeah.
And so that kind of opened my eyes to what's available here in New Haven.
Yeah.
So we can reach across the seas without reaching across the seas. We can reach
Yeah.
across the street. I think the piece about the festival that I am most impressed with, my background is in community organizing and
Hmm.
building relational cultures, cultures where people are accustomed to relating to each other, to knowing each
Hmm.
other. And so an opportunity like the festival brings people of all cultures, all classes, all lifestyles together in
Yeah.
one place, sharing an experience.
Hmm.
And it's one of my favorite things during the festival in June is to go out and see uh, folks that I know are multimillionaires. You know, their net worth is in
Hmm.
the multi-millions, sitting next to people I know are barely making it
Yeah.
and sharing in a concert and talking to each other and sharing their food and their kids are playing together.
Yeah.
There's got to be something good that comes from that. Just
Yeah.
just just knowing each other. I believe that, and I can go. So you
Mhm.
can interrupt me if you need to.
No,
I
no.
believe that in a relational culture, if we know each other's faces
Hmm.
and a little bit about each other's stories, we
Hmm.
are more likely to help and relate, or at the very least, we're less likely to do harm.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to hurt someone I know,
Yeah.
and I know where they're coming from. Uh, and so I think we are, Dr. Elijah Anderson over at Yale, a sociologist over at Yale, talks about cosmopolitan canopies.
Hmm.
And that's these places that are local in nature and bring a variety of people together
Hmm.
under one canopy to
Hmm.
share an experience. Oversimplified,
Yeah.
but that's kind of what I see Arts and Ideas doing each year.
Yeah.
We're
So
bringing
you said
people
you
together.
didn't grow up here, um, but you're here now. Obviously, you stayed. Is there something special about New Haven you think that makes Arts and Ideas possible? You talk about the guys from Ghana live in Newhallville. Is there something about New Haven in particular that makes it like ripe for this Arts and Ideas Festival?
I think it's because New Haven is a global city. It's the
Yeah,
greatest small city in America.
that's right.
Um, and so I, one of my early days here, I came here to go to Yale Divinity School
Hmm.
and stuck around. And so I was one of my early before school started. I was sitting out on the green, and I saw in little podunk town of New Haven that I just heard of. I
Hmm.
saw this man walking down the street with a sandwich board across him that said, "Repent, the end of the year, the world is nigh." And he's
Hmm.
carrying a sign, "Read the
Yep.
Bible." And then a few minutes later, I saw somebody coming the other way that was all silver, silver platform shoes, silver tights, silver top, silver hat, silver makeup. Everything was
Yep.
silver. And they were just walking down the street. And I saw a few things like that. And as I'm looking, nobody's really paying any attention to them. And I said, you know, you're in the city when
Yeah.
your crazies feel comfortable being out in public. And then I looked at me, I thought, yeah, I'm one of the crazies.
Yep.
So we're at home.
When you're talking to somebody, and the end of the story just ends with, "Well, it's New Haven," and that makes it. That's why it makes sense.
That's why it makes sense. And so we're just open to new ideas and to thoughts. And I think it helps having, the five universities and secondary
Certainly.
educations around.
Yeah.
Uh, and so we attract people from all over. And a lot of us stay.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
us stay.
We do get a lot of people that way, certainly. Um, So, not every festival lasts. Some go for a few years and then say certainly not 30 years. Was there a moment in Arts and Media history where people could point to and say, like, Arts and Media is going to be around for a long time? Like, we've made it. Is there like a performance that really kind of like, boom?
I'm not aware of anything.
Mm,
I think for me,
mm,
it was the year, and this was early in my tenure as a board member.
mm,
It was the year that we brought Yo-Yo Ma.
mm.
And he was scheduled to come. He was going to play at the Schubert. It was going to be a 60, 70, $80 ticket.
Yep.
And Mary Lou Oleski, we were sitting in the board meeting, or meeting one time,
Mm,
and she said, "Wouldn't it be cool if we could give Yo-Yo Ma on the screen for free, so
mm.
everybody could see it?" And so we all thought, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Well, how would we do? Well, how does it happen?"
Yeah.
And so she made some calls to his people, and they said he was willing to do it. It would
Mm.
cost an additional X amount of hundred thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And within a very short time, a few phone calls, uh, two folks that are here in town or here in the area,
Mm.
we were able to raise that money.
Wow.
And so, granted, it's a special occasion. It's probably a one
Yeah.
time ever going to happen
Hmm.
thing. But we were able to present Yo-Yo Ma for free on the green.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was during a typhoon. But a
Oops.
lot of us stayed out there. I
Yeah.
sat there with an umbrella for 3 hours waiting on
No,
his
I,
show.
I I missed that one.
It
But I
was
did see.
beautiful.
I don't think it was Arts and Ideas, but I do remember walking down to see Ray Charles on the green. But that was a
Yeah,
long time ago.
that was a long time ago. That wasn't us, but we'll take credit for
It was still New Haven.
Exactly.
Um, so one thing we're always conscious of at CCM is funding issues. New London had to postpone their yearly, I think it was Sailfest this year due to budgetary constraints. Is Arts and Ideas subject to the same concerns? I know you pride yourself on being able to provide a festival that has a lot of free events and not so many ticketed. How do you think about that? Like, what does the board do with that?
Um, we think about it constantly, and it's what's unique in our structure is we plan the festival and the budget for it before we actually get the money,
Mm,
including the state's money. The state's money doesn't come until October to pay for the festival we had in June.
yeah.
Uh, and so that makes it hard not knowing
Hmm.
what we have coming in. So far, we've been able to, for the most part, keep up,
Hmm.
um, but it's always a challenge. Uh,
Hmm.
even
So,
even today, we just heard that our line item is still in the budget.
so
That doesn't
you
mean
so
it's
you
going to
could
happen.
lay out all the money, and then if it gets cut in the budget, you won't get reimbursed. Is that basically the
Yes,
worst case
and then
scenario?
we
Okay.
and we have to figure out how to pay it.
Yeah.
Um, we have a strong uh, uh, cohort of donors
Hmm.
who are very supportive of us
Yeah.
and many of the arts in New Haven or New
Yeah.
Haven County and the world. Uh,
Yeah.
and but we're always worried about
Yeah.
being able to pay for things.
Yeah, I mean,
Ticket
it
is
sounds in a lot of ways like the way the towns have to think about things. Like right now, they're also waiting on the governor's budget to see like what kind of this town aid, the ECS, and those things are going to be. But they still need to get their budgets in as well before they might find out what the answer
yeah
is. Yeah, it's
yeah.
hard.
So we're going to try to shift that a little bit, but it's always going to be the case where we're chasing after money.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing is we have to. It's become very clear in the arts industry
Hmm.
uh, that ticketed events is not going to cover the cost. It's
Yeah.
just unlikely that you'll be able to sell enough tickets to cover what it actually costs to do things.
Hmm.
And so there have to be donors, there have to be other sources of income.
Yeah.
And so I think our challenge going forward is to figure out other sources.
Hmm.
To be perfectly frank, most of our donors are aging,
Hmm.
as we all are.
Yep.
And so we have to start thinking of new ways of
Hmm.
generating income.
Not just
The
for this year, but
festival,
for going forward into the future. Yeah.
particularly going forward. Yeah, the festival itself has the amount of time we spend on the green
Hmm.
has been reduced.
Okay.
We're doing one less weekend than we normally would do,
Hmm.
and that's to save a tremendous amount of money.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, we're not able to bring some of the artists that we would love to have
Hmm.
just because they're not in our budget.
Yeah.
Um, so there won't be that many big names.
Hmm.
We try to catch artists on their way up,
Yeah.
and get them, like we were able to get Samara Joy last year.
Hmm.
And while it cost us quite a bit, we sold out, and there's no way we'd be able to afford her this year.
Yeah.
We just got lucky and got her contracted before she won the Grammy.
Before she was too famous. Yeah.
Exactly.
Get them booked quick.
Yeah. So that's kind of our thing, and our ideas, like you said, 75, 80%, 85, 90% of our events are free.
Yeah.
And we want to continue that. We want to keep that going. We want to make
Yeah.
the arts and the ideas accessible to everyone. And we're also spreading out from more than just the 2 weeks, 3 weeks in June.
Yeah, the schedule is a lot broader than I've seen in past years, and it's different places around town and different neighborhoods too.
Exactly.
Just because we are CCM, we represent the town governments. I'm just thinking, like, to put something on like this in a town, you must work really closely with, like, the city, right? Like,
Yes.
do you coordinate? Are they part of the kind of the process, or like when you sit down, are they sitting at the table too?
Um, we more go to them once we've kind of figured out what we're doing.
Hmm.
I mean, the bones of it don't change every year that
Hmm.
much.
Yeah.
So more dates and times and locations, but parking, streets,
Kind of got the drill down on
city
that sort of.
parks, yeah. The city of New Haven has been a strong ally and
Mm,
supporter and partner
yeah.
since we've started the festival.
You are listening to the Municipal Voice on WNHH 103.5 FM.
In the press release, that some of the events have already started happening.
Yeah,
But the neighborhood festivals are starting in May, right?
May 3rd, first one.
Okay, so let's talk about
Very.
the neighborhood festivals first. What's up with those?
So I think it was about 12 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, we were talking and looking at in our community connections committee.
Hmm.
We were looking at how we can better integrate, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but there was a bad feelings, not necessarily bad feelings, but a lot of folks felt in the neighborhoods felt like the festival was not for them.
Hmm.
New Haven Green was kind of a neutral zone that all the
Yeah.
neighborhoods could come to, but
Yeah.
a lot of them didn't feel like there was anything going on there for them, unless it was a particular artist like Ray Charles or
Hmm.
Morris Day or somebody that they were interested in.
Yeah.
Um, and so we were trying to think of how we can modify that. How
Hmm.
can we show uh, that we're part of it? And so we came up with the idea of having these neighborhood pop-up festivals.
Hmm.
So we went through a process of reviewing neighborhoods and we were mainly looking for communities that had an organizing force already.
Hmm.
And so we found uh, three communities at the time, I believe.
Yeah.
It was New Hallville, no, I'm sorry, Dixwell,
Hmm.
Fairhaven, and the Hill, and who had strong groups of people ready to pull this together.
Yeah.
And we went to them and said, "Hey, we know how to throw a festival.
Yeah.
If we came to you and said we have some money and we have our expertise to offer you, what would
Hmm.
you do with it?"
We know how to throw
And
a
so the
festival. You
neighborhood,
know your neighborhood. Yeah.
exactly, you know what you want, and so it turned into this neighborhood festival. At the
And
time,
is
we
it
called them
still the
pop-up
same? Is
festivals.
it the same three neighborhoods still?
Yes, and
Yes,
um,
and okay.
since
Who's been
then
added?
we added New Hallville,
Hmm.
and Rest Rock, Rest Hills.
Hmm.
And then this year we're adding Whaley, Edgewood, Beaver Hill.
That's
So
cool. And you said so when you were saying before that those first three kind of already had the organizations. With these new ones, did you find organizations to work with, or did people actually put them together to try to for this reason specifically?
we found organizations to work with,
That's
or
cool.
we found people, and no, I think in all cases we found organizations.
Yeah.
Like
Did
Webb
any of
is
them
there.
find you?
I was gonna say Webb is the one that reached out to us
That's cool.
most recently. Tom Ficklin
Hmm.
was their alder at the time, and he reached out to us. And they had
Yeah.
been on our list in the original formation, and just at the time they were not organized enough.
What's happening at some of the neighborhood festivals this year?
There's always vendors.
Hmm.
There's always local talent that
Okay.
has the opportunity, local organizations that have the opportunity to present themselves.
Hmm.
And it's really just a fun time for the community to get together
Hmm.
and see each other and be
And
out in
these
public.
are spread out, like they're not all on the same weekend, right?
No, it's
So if people want to, they could probably go to all of them.
they could.
Okay.
They could. Some of us have to. And it's not a problem. They're fun.
And don't mind, yeah.
They're fun.
And these are all free, right?
Yes.
All the neighborhood ones, and open to
Yes.
anybody, right?
Open to anybody.
You don't need to be
The
from
more-
New
we
Haven.
are
You can
Yeah,
come in
we want
from
to show off our
anywhere.
neighborhoods. We want to show off our neighborhoods. It's a lot of folks think of Dixwell and New Hallville and the Hill as these places that are, oh my, those poor people.
Yeah.
Well, those poor people got some beautiful stuff happening.
So
Beautiful
if someone
concept.
wants to know about this, is there schedules on the website?
Yeah, if you go to artidea.org,
Artidea.org. That's it. Okay.
artidea.org, and click on the calendar. Our first event was actually April 1st. That was the kickoff of our big read. The big read book this year is Fahrenheit 451. And so
just rewind a bit. Well, the big read. Tell me a little bit about that. What is the big read?
the big read is where we select a book and we
Mhm.
ask all of the city to read it.
Mhm.
And we hold conversations and events and book clubs and talks about the book.
Okay, so when you say all the
Sometimes
city,
we're
you're
doing
not talking about school kids or not just school kids. You're talking about
everybody.
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 Anybody that can read can be a part of this.
Yeah, we bought 400 something copies of the book and have been giving them away.
Oh, that's cool.
So every high school, I believe every high school and junior high in New Haven
got some free
will have
copies to
copies
give.
in their library.
And in the library. That's great.
Any teachers that want to do a program, there's a workbook that goes along with it to help them teach it.
So it sounds like you are the festival works with the schools as well and the libraries.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And the libraries, yeah. We partner with everybody that wants to partner, and some who don't.
And so on some level, like with a lot of these things, are they kind of putting together their own little programs under the umbrella of Arts and Ideas?
Exactly. And this year we have actually expanded the Big Read program. I went to the kickoff in the West Haven Library.
Mm-hmm.
So they've joined us. They got a book club going. It was actually quite well attended. And then either today or tomorrow we kick it off in Hamden at the Hamden Library. So yeah, we're spreading out.
Spreading out to the other towns, was that like spreading into some of the neighborhood ones? Like were there groups in the other towns that you were working with?
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. I believe it was through the library. Associations with the library, and it also could have come through some of the teachers. We've been working closely with Possible Futures Bookstore on this project and another one we're trying to kick off, and so they do a lot of programming with teachers.
That's cool.
And we have JHD, Jennifer. Oh God, don't make me try to say her real name. We call her JHD.
JHD.
You can look her up. You can look her up. She's all over. But she's kind of been our consultant in helping us work with the schools.
I'm guessing the stuff like the main on the green stuff starts in June. Is that right?
Correct. June 18th is, I believe, the first.
Like Weekend of the Green. What kind of like main event on the green sort of stuff is there going to be this year? What are the kind of headliner marquee stuff?
Well, I mean, we are once again doing the opening the festival with the on the green with the Juneteenth celebration, working with the Juneteenth
Okay.
committee. We have the Sons of Maestro coming to perform. It's two brother violinists, two African American violinists. I call them brothers, but they're not actually brothers. They play a fusion of reggae and hip hop and classical
On the violin.
On the violin.
That's cool.
So it's two violins and a DJ. And I believe the plan is to, for their final number, play with some local kids.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And so we've been in contact with Music Haven and with Neighborhood Music School and ECA to try.
Well,
to
that'll be fun.
Together.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun. So there'll be some workshops around that.
Is there maybe something that you in particular are looking forward to attending yourself?
I am looking forward to the 14th and 15th. We have Minty Fresh.
Okay.
Minty Fresh is a dance put together by Monique Martin. It's a celebration of Black joy, Black music, Black movement. And so it's an all Black cast, and it's a combination of dance, music, and circus acts.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. Black circus. What are you talking about?
And
so
what's that
it should
called?
be quite exciting. Minty Fresh.
The Minty Fresh Circus?
No, it's just Minty Fresh.
Just Minty Fresh.
Yes.
All right, that's cool.
The name comes from Harriet Tubman's real name was Hermanenta. Yeah, something like that. And they called her Minty. Her nickname was Minty as a child when she was running away from her masters. And
there you go. Yeah, I would say there's a lot of different events going on. I know there's a play, I guess, based on the legacy of pizza in New Haven. Which should be sort of interesting.
We partnered with a local theater company, Broken Umbrella Theater.
Okay, cool. They've been around a long time, yeah.
Yeah. Last year, we've been working with them on this play for 3 years.
Okay.
The first year was kind of a reading that I don't believe was part of the festival. Last year, they did kind of a little bit more of a stage reading with it on its feet. We called it a slice. And then this year, you get the whole pie.
And was that the plan from the beginning to kind of like have something that you would do year after year, but it would build on the previous year?
Yeah.
That's a cool idea, yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the other areas that when I became board president, actually before I became board president, I kept saying that not only do we want to bring to New Haven great talent and great thought thinkers, but we'd also like to export from New Haven our great talent and great thought thinkers. So we've been looking at ways to promote local artists and help them move into more prominence.
I just wanted to take a minute to talk about Jacques Pepin, who is, a local living legend. He's, I think, going to be 90 soon. He was the personal chef for like Charles de Gaulle, like back in the day, could have cooked for JFK, all this crazy stuff was on TV. And he just happens to live, a little bit down the road here from us. What is Jacques Pepin's event going to be like? What's that going to involve?
Right now, the plan is it's going to be a conversation between him and we're not quite sure yet who the other person is going to be. He gave us a list of people and we're trying to contact them now, people he wants to talk to. And then after the conversation, we are going to have some local chefs prepare replicas of his recipes.
Like some of his classic Jacques Pepin recipes.
That's what we're hoping will happen. And so folks who buy a ticket will hear the talk, be able to spend a little time with him because he'll stay on stage and they'll come up and get to sample some of the food. Now they're not trying to to copy his recipes.
I'm gonna say, is Jacques gonna taste these?
Yeah,
I can imagine
he already said
that'd be a little
don't
bit of
let them-
pressure for those chefs.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, hey, why don't you try this, sir? I made
Yeah.
your recipe. Is it right? But that'll
So
be
yeah,
for the
these are
tasters.
supposed
That'll
to
be
be
great. Yeah.
these are supposed to be their take on his recipes,
Okay. Their
and so
interpretation.
they're not his; they're interpretations.
Okay.
Um,
That's
he made
probably
sure
safer.
that was clear. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun. That's going
Yeah,
to be a
that'll
lot
be
of
cool.
fun.
All right. So, did you got yourself into that as an official taster?
I will be tasting before everybody else. I got to
Okay.
make sure it's good enough to go on stage.
Check, make sure it's not poisoned.
That's what I'm telling everybody.
You are listening to the Municipal Voice on WNHH 103.5 FM.
When you think about the future, what do you see going on over the next 30 years with arts and ideas?
I see us figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of hard to predict what's going to happen in this country
Mm-hmm.
in particular and in the world in general. So much weirdness going on right now,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's kind of hard to predict. But I think our biggest effort will be figuring out how to supplement our income, how to come up with other ways other than depending on large donors and government. We don't do very well with corporate donations, and so we're starting to looking at corporations as not being a philanthropic giving, not giving out of the goodness of their heart, but we're a marketing opportunity.
Yeah.
We get 100,000 people looking at us from this region every year.
Well, that's another
to you.
thought to me, talking about that, as the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, we talk about town governments and stuff. Bringing that many people into a town has got to have some sort of economic impact too, I would imagine.
Yeah, we do it. We have Quinnipiac University does an economic impact study every year, and I don't have the document in front of me, but I believe we brought in last year something like 5.7 million. That was spent, and
that's just people coming in, going to dinner, whatever,
going to the stores, getting hotel rooms.
Yeah,
and they come up with these numbers by talking to
the
people. Yeah, they ask the people on the green and in the venues, how much did you spend?
Yeah,
your trip?
Did he come from out of town?
Yeah.
And I mean, that doesn't even take into account the things like, having a good art scene in a town, attracting people to actually move. You know? Yeah. And how that long-term impacts a town or city, having that sort of scene going on.
Yeah, New Haven, several years ago, Economic Development Department for the city brought in a bunch of realtors and people from New York to come see Connecticut and see New Haven in particular. And so several of them, as they were leaving, were saying that they had no idea that all this was happening in New Haven. All they knew about New Haven was the food trucks on Long Wharf.
As they drive on 95,
Exactly. And they'd never gotten off the highway.
That and Yale,
So I say tear that highway down. Make them
don't make them drive through town.
I know, I'm kidding.
It took me a half hour to get from Long Wharf to Westville the other day.
Oh God, yeah. But seriously, New Haven needs to be a destination and not a past. But there are some advantages. I mean, the Schubert was made on shows heading to Broadway or heading from Broadway out on tour. I don't see anything wrong with that being our role.
Yeah, that's true. Like being, in between Boston and New York also means we get a size of act sometimes that other cities of the size of New Haven in the middle of Midwest or something are never going to see.
Never going to see.
Yeah.
And we're still much more affordable to live in than New York or Boston. So far, it's changing daily, but right now we are. So yeah, I think there's some opportunity for the arts world here. The Arts Council has grown into a strong partner with Hope leading it, and Daniel before her. It's just. I think now is a good time. It's a
Yeah.
shame that we're hitting this in the uh, self-generated, man-made finance issues we're having right now.
Yeah.
I think people are forgetting how important the arts are to our being.
When they're looking for
Uh,
those cuts, yeah.
uh, yeah, it's easy to discredit a concert. It's just a waste of money. It's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
But no, it isn't. It's
Mm.
people that get together on the green and beat each other. And so now when I see you at the grocery
Yeah.
store, I'll speak and smile.
What makes a community in a lot of ways.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, Rev Kev, one more time for everyone at home. If they want to find out schedule, learn what's going on, where should they look?
Idea.org.
And things are already going, but the big stuff is starting in June on the green, but there's stuff in the neighborhoods before that.
There's stuff in the neighborhoods. There's stuff in the libraries. I didn't mention the film series we're doing with partnering with the sister cities.
Okay.
So we're doing a film. I think we've already done 3 or 4 of them.
Okay, so there's
a film for each
music,
of the cities. There's
visual
music,
art,
there's dance, there's top conversations. There's
something
everything.
for everybody. Okay.
There's something for everybody.
Awesome.
In fact, there's 2 things for most people.
2 things for most people, 3 for some. Well, Rev Kev, I appreciate you speaking with us today, and good luck with everything you got going on. Sounds like you're going to be busy for the rest of the summer.
We'd like to thank our guest, the Reverend Kevin Ewing. The Municipal Voice is a co-production by CCM and WNHH 103.5 FM. Joe Thornton is our executive producer, Christopher Gilson is our producer, Harry Draws on the boards, and I'm Matt Ford, your host. Be sure to check out our Facebook page and give us a like, and watch out for our CCM chat series on our YouTube page.